The unlikely encounter. The vast expanse of space stretched out before Dr. Elara Vance as she maneuvered her utility pod around the outer hull of Nexus Station. The massive structure hung suspended against the backdrop of swirling nebula and distant stars, a testament to humanity's determination to push the boundaries of exploration. Elara sighed, her breath fogging up the inside of her helmet for a moment before the atmospheric regulators cleared it away. Another day, another series of mundane repair tasks. As the station's lead engineer, she spent more time outside the hull than inside, ensuring that the delicate systems keeping thousands of inhabitants alive continued to function flawlessly. Nexus control to Dr. Vance. A voice crackled through her comms. "How's it looking out there?" Elara's gloved hand tapped the side of her helmet. "All clear so far. Control. Just finishing up the last set of diagnostics on the quantum stabilizers. Should be wrapped up in about 30 minutes. Copy that, Doctor. We'll have a hot cup of synth-caf waiting for you when you get back." Elara smiled despite herself. The promise of even artificial coffee was enough to lift her spirits after hours of tedious work. She returned her focus to the task at hand, her augmented reality display highlighting potential trouble spots along the hull. As she neared the final stabilizer, something caught her eye. A faint shimmer, barely perceptible against the station's gleaming surface. Elara frowned, adjusting her suit's sensors to get a better reading. "That's odd," she muttered to herself. "Control, are you picking up any unusual energy signatures near my location?" There was a moment of silence before the reply came. "Negative, Doctor. All readings are normal from our end. Is there a problem?" Elara hesitated. She prided herself on her thoroughness, and something about this anomaly nagged at her. "I'm not sure. I'm going to take a closer look." Carefully, she maneuvered the pod closer to the shimmering area. As she approached, the distortion became more pronounced, like a ripple in the fabric of space itself. Elara's scientific curiosity overtook her caution, and she extended the pod's robotic arm to investigate. The moment the arm made contact with the distortion, a brilliant flash of light erupted. Elara instinctively shielded her eyes, momentarily blinded. When she looked again, her jaw dropped in astonishment. Floating before her, encased in what appeared to be a semi-transparent bubble of energy, was a creature unlike anything she had ever seen. It was roughly the size of a house cat, with iridescent fur that seemed to shift colors as it moved. 6 limbs extended from its body, ending in delicate, multi-jointed appendages. But it was the creature's eyes that captivated Elara, large, luminous orbs that radiated an unmistakable intelligence. "Control," Elara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have a situation here. I've encountered. Well, I'm not entirely sure what I've encountered, but I think we may have just made first contact." The silence that followed was deafening. Elara could almost imagine the chaos erupting in the control room as her words sank in. Finally, a new voice came over the comms. "Commander Reyes, the station's chief of security. Dr. Vance, this is Reyes. Can you describe what you're seeing in detail?" Elara did her best to articulate the bizarre sight before her. As she spoke, the creature tilted its head, regarding her with an unsettling intensity. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was studying her just as closely as she was studying it. "Your orders are to bring the entity aboard immediately," Reyes said once she had finished. "We're preparing a secure containment area in the xenobiology lab. Approach with extreme caution." Elara frowned. "Sir, with all due respect, we have no idea what this creature is capable of. Shouldn't we attempt communication first?" "That's an order, Doctor," Reyes replied, his tone brooking no argument. "We can't risk losing this opportunity. Bring it in." With a resigned sigh, Elara began the delicate process of maneuvering the energy bubble into her pod's small cargo hold. To her surprise, the creature offered no resistance. If anything, it seemed almost eager to be brought aboard. As the airlock cycled and Elara prepared to re-enter the station, a strange sensation washed over her. It was as if a tendril of thought had brushed against her mind, carrying with it a mixture of emotions, curiosity, apprehension, and something else she couldn't quite identify. Hope, perhaps. Shaking off the unsettling feeling, Ilara focused on the task at hand. She guided her pod into the docking bay, where a team of scientists and security personnel awaited. The moment she emerged from the airlock, she was whisked away for decontamination and debriefing, leaving the mysterious creature in the hands of the xenobiology team. Hours later, after endless questions and medical scans, Ilara finally found herself standing outside the containment area where the alien was being held. Through the transparent barrier, she could see it curled up in the center of the room, its fur shimmering softly under the harsh laboratory lights. Remarkable, isn't it? Dr. Zara Chen, the station's lead xenobiologist, said as she approached. We've run every test we can think of, and we still can't make heads or tails of its physiology. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. Ilara nodded, her eyes never leaving the creature. Have you had any luck communicating with it? Zara shook her head. Not really. It seems to understand that we're trying to interact, but we haven't found a common language yet. Although, she hesitated, glancing around before continuing in a lower voice. There have been some strange occurrences, equipment malfunctioning, inexplicable data readings, and some of the staff have reported unusual dreams. Before Ilara could inquire further, the creature suddenly uncurled itself and padded over to the barrier. It placed one of its appendages against the surface, its gaze fixed squarely on Ilara. That strange sensation she had felt earlier returned, stronger this time. Without thinking, Ilara stepped forward and pressed her hand against the barrier, mirroring the creature's gesture. The moment she made contact, a jolt of energy surged through her body. Images flashed through her mind in rapid succession. Alien landscapes, advanced technology, and faces both human and decidedly not. But one image stood out among the rest. A young boy with familiar features, working intently on some complex device. With a start, Ilara realized she was looking at herself as a child. But how was that possible? As quickly as it had begun, the connection broke. Ilara stumbled backward, her mind reeling from the experience. Zara rushed to her side, concern etched on her face. Dr. Vance, are you all right? What happened? Ilara shook her head, trying to clear the lingering images. I'm not sure. But I think it was trying to communicate with me. And I think, she paused, the implications of what she had seen beginning to sink in. I think it knows me. Somehow, it knows who I am. Before Zara could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red emergency lights bathed the corridor in an ominous glow. Warning, the station's AI announced in its calm, modulated voice. Unknown vessels approaching. All personnel report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Ilara and Zara exchanged worried glances. Could the arrival of these ships be connected to their alien visitor? As if in answer to their unspoken question, the creature let out a haunting, melodic cry. Its fur bristled, and its eyes glowed with an intense, almost frantic energy. Whatever was coming, Ilara realized, it filled their strange guest with terror. In that moment, as chaos erupted around them, and the station prepared for a potential threat, Ilara made a decision that would change the course of her life, and quite possibly, the fate of humanity itself. We need to get it out of there, she said, moving towards the containment controls. Zara's eyes widened. What? We can't. We have no idea. Trust me, Ilara interrupted, her fingers flying over the keypad. I don't fully understand it myself, but I know this creature isn't a threat to us. And I think it might be the key to understanding what's really going on here. As the containment field lowered, the alien bounded forward, its movements a fluid grace that belied its strange anatomy. It circled Ilara once before coming to rest at her feet, looking up at her with those impossibly intelligent eyes. A voice that wasn't quite a voice echoed in Ilara's mind. Sister, it seemed to say, found you. Danger comes. Must flee. Ilara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she knew would be the most important decision of her life. She looked down at the creature, her apparent alien sibling, then back at the astonished Zora. I'm sorry, she said, but we have to go. Now. With that, Ilara scooped up the alien in her arms and ran, leaving behind everything she had ever known and racing headlong into a universe far stranger and more perilous than she had ever imagined. As they fled through the corridors of Nexus Station, alarms blaring and confusion reigning, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything she thought she knew about herself, her species, and the true nature of the cosmos itself. Little did she know just how right she was. Unraveling secrets. Ilara's heart pounded as she raced through the labyrinthine corridors of Nexus Station. The alien creature cradled in her arms. Sirens wailed, and the emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow over everything. Crew members rushed past, too focused on their own duties to pay much attention to the engineer and her strange companion. We need to get to my lab, Ilara muttered, more to herself than to the alien. If we're going to have any chance of escaping, we'll need supplies. The creature chirped softly, and Ilara felt a gentle probe in her mind. Images flashed before her eyes. A sleek spacecraft, advanced beyond anything humans had developed, hidden in a nearby asteroid field. You have a ship, Ilara whispered, incredulous. The alien's response was a mixture of affirmation and urgency. As they rounded a corner, Ilara nearly collided with Commander Reyes and a squad of security officers. The commander's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed dangerously. Dr. Vance, he growled, what the hell do you think you're doing? Ilara took a step back, her mind racing. Commander, I can explain. Save it, Reyes snapped, raising his pulse rifle. Hand over the alien. Now. Time seemed to slow as Ilara weighed her options. She could feel the creature's fear and desperation pulsing through their newfound connection. Whatever was coming for them, it was clear that staying on the station wasn't an option. Just as Reyes was about to speak again, the lights flickered and died, plunging the corridor into darkness. In the confusion, Ilara felt a surge of energy emanate from the alien. Suddenly, she could see clearly, the world around her rendered in shades of blue and green, as if she were wearing night vision goggles. Without hesitation, Ilara bolted past the disoriented security team. She heard Reyes shouting behind her, followed by the distinctive whine of pulse rifles charging up. But by the time they opened fire, she had already turned the corner. Was that you? Ilara asked as they continued their mad dash through the station. The alien's response was a mixture of satisfaction and exhaustion. Whatever it had done to help them escape had taken a toll. Finally, they'd reached Ilara's personal lab. She sealed the door behind them and quickly began gathering essential supplies. Portable power cells, a med kit, and her personal data pad. As she worked, her mind raced with questions. I don't understand, she said, stuffing items into a backpack. How is it possible that we're related, and who's coming after you? The alien's response came in a series of fragmented images and emotions. Ilara saw flashes of a highly advanced civilization, one that had mastered the art of blending organic and technological elements. She saw herself as a child, but in a context she couldn't remember, surrounded by aliens like her new companion, working on incredible machines. Then the images turned dark. There was conflict, an attack by forces that feared the power this civilization wielded. In the chaos, Ilara, or rather, her younger self, was separated from her alien family. She was found by humans, her memories suppressed, and raised as one of their own. That's impossible, Ilara muttered, her hands shaking as she zipped up the backpack. I grew up on Earth. I have parents, a whole life there. The alien's response was tinged with sadness and regret. It conveyed a sense that those memories were artificial, implanted to protect her and keep her hidden. Before Ilara could process this earth-shattering revelation, her datapad lit up with an incoming transmission. It was Dr. Chen. "Ilara, are you there?" Zara's voice was hushed and urgent. "Listen carefully. Those ships that just arrived, they're not like anything we've ever seen. They're demanding we hand over the alien. And you." Ilara's blood ran cold. "Me? But why?" "I don't know," Zora replied. "But Race is cooperating with them. Whatever's going on, it's bigger than just Nexus Station. You need to get out of there. Now." "But how?" Ilara asked, desperation creeping into her voice. "The whole station's on lockdown." There was a pause before Zora responded. "There's a maintenance airlock near your lab. It's not on the main security grid. I'm sending you the access codes now. Good luck, Ilara. And be careful." As the transmission ended, Ilara felt a wave of gratitude for her friend. She turned to the alien, who was watching her intently. "All right," she said, hefting the backpack onto her shoulders. "Let's go find your ship." They made their way to the maintenance airlock, narrowly avoiding security patrols along the way. As Ilara inputted the access codes, she could feel the alien's anticipation growing. Whatever bond they shared, it was clearly strengthening. The airlock cycled open, revealing the vast expanse of space beyond. Ilara hesitated for a moment, the enormity of what she was about to do finally hitting her. She was about to leave behind everything she knew, based on the word of a creature she'd just met and memories she couldn't fully trust. As if sensing her doubt, the alien pressed a paw to her hand. In that moment, Ilara was flooded with a sense of belonging and purpose she'd never felt before. Whatever lay ahead, she knew she was on the right path. Taking a deep breath, Ilara activated her suit's magnetic boots and stepped out into space. The alien clung to her, its body seeming to mold itself to her suit in a way that should have been impossible. Together, they pushed off from the station, drifting into the star-studded void. For several tense minutes, they floated in silence, the bulk of Nexus Station slowly receding behind them. Ilara's suit sensors picked up increased activity around the station. Ships moving into position, energy signatures flaring. Whatever was happening, it was clear that their window of escape was rapidly closing. Just as Ilara was beginning to worry they'd drifted too far, she saw it. A shimmer in space, like heat haze on a summer day. As they drew closer, the shimmer resolved into the sleek form of a spacecraft, unlike anything Ilara had ever seen. It was organic in shape, its hull seeming to pulse with an inner light. The alien let out a trill of excitement, and a hatch materialized in the ship's side. Ilara maneuvered them inside, the hatched ceiling seamlessly behind them. As the ship's atmosphere normalized, Ilara removed her helmet, looking around in awe. The interior was a fusion of biology and technology, with pulsing conduits that looked more like veins than wires, and control surfaces that seemed to grow out of the walls. The alien bounded over to what Ilara assumed was the pilot's station, interfacing with it in a way she couldn't quite comprehend. Suddenly, the ship came to life around them. Holographic displays sprang into existence, showing the position of Nexus Station and the unknown vessels surrounding it. Ilara's heart sank as she saw several smaller craft breaking away from the main group, heading in their direction. "We've been spotted," she said, a note of panic in her voice. "Can this thing outrun them?" The alien's response was a burst of confidence and excitement. The ship surged forward, accelerating at a rate that should have turned Ilara into paste. But somehow she felt no discomfort. It was as if the ship's inertial systems were perfectly in tune with her body. As they sped away from Nexus Station, weaving through debris fields and skirting dangerously close to stellar phenomena, Ilara found herself laughing despite the danger. There was an exhilaration to this flight, a sense of freedom she'd never experienced before. But their pursuers were persistent. No matter how many evasive maneuvers they pulled, the enemy ships stayed on their tail. Weapons fire began to streak past them, each near miss causing the ship to shudder. "We can't keep this up forever," Ilara said, gripping the edge of a console as they banked hard to avoid a barrage of energy blasts. "We need a plan." The alien chittered in agreement, and suddenly Ilara's mind was filled with a stream of technical data. She saw schematics for the ship's systems, details of its capabilities that went far beyond anything she'd imagined. And with that knowledge came an idea. "The quantum drive," she muttered, her eyes widening as she grasped the implications. "It's not just for FTL travel. We can use it to create a localized space-time distortion." Her hands flew over the ship's controls, which responded to her touch as if they were extensions of her own body. She began rerouting power, priming the quantum drive for an activation sequence it was never designed for. Warning messages flashed across the displays, the ship's AI protesting the dangerous modifications. But Ilara pressed on, guided by a certainty she couldn't explain. This would work. It had to. "Hold on," she said to her alien companion, though the warning was hardly necessary. The creature was as much a part of the ship as Ilara was quickly becoming. With a final command, Ilara activated the drive. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash of light, space itself seemed to twist around them. The pursuing ships vanished, replaced by an entirely different starfield. Ilara sagged in relief, her mind reeling from the enormity of what they'd just done. Did we just jump to another part of the galaxy? The aliens' response was a mixture of awe and pride. They had done more than that. They had jumped to another time. As the implications of this sank in, Ilara felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her. The events of the past few hours, the discoveries, the chase, the impossible escape, all caught up with her at once. She slumped in the pilot's seat, her eyes struggling to stay open. The alien nudged her gently, conveying a sense of safety and urging her to rest. As Ilara drifted off to sleep, her last conscious thought was of the incredible journey that lay ahead. She had left behind everything she knew, but she was beginning to suspect that she was finally on the path to discovering who she truly was. In the quiet of the ship, as it drifted through an unfamiliar sector of space-time, Ilara dreamed. She saw flashes of her forgotten past, glimpses of the person she used to be and the family she had lost. And through it all, a sense of purpose began to crystallize. Whatever forces were at work, whatever secrets lay buried in her past, Ilara knew one thing for certain. She and her alien sibling were at the center of something far larger than themselves, and together, they just might hold the key to unraveling a mystery that spanned galaxies and defied the very laws of time itself. As Ilara slept, the ship continued its silent journey through the stars, carrying its unlikely crew towards a destiny that would reshape the very fabric of the universe. Escape and pursuit. Ilara awoke with a start, momentarily disoriented by her unfamiliar surroundings. The events of the past day came rushing back as she took in the organic contours of the alien ship's interior. Her newfound companion, sibling, was curled up nearby, its iridescent fur pulsing gently with what seemed to be its breathing rhythm. As if sensing her consciousness, the alien stirred, its large, luminous eyes fixed on Ilara, conveying a mixture of concern and excitement. Through their mental link, Ilara felt a gentle inquiry about her well-being. "I'm okay," she said, stretching as she sat up. "Just trying to process everything." "Where are we?" The ship's holographic displays flickered to life, showing their position in an unfamiliar star system. Ilara's eyes widened as she took in the data. They were in the Andromeda Galaxy, over 2.5 million light-years from Earth, and, if the temporal readings were correct, nearly 50 years in the future. "That's impossible," Ilara muttered, though she was quickly learning that impossible was a relative term. "We need to figure out our next move. We can't stay here forever." The alien chirped in agreement, moving to interface with the ship's systems. As it did, Ilara felt a flood of information pour into her mind. Star charts, historical data, and fragments of alien languages all vied for her attention. But one piece of information stood out from the rest. Coordinates for a hidden base, deep in an uncharted sector of Andromeda. "Is that where we're going?" Ilara asked, already knowing the answer. The alien's response was tinged with hope and a hint of trepidation. Whatever awaited them at those coordinates, it was clear that it was crucial to understanding their shared past and the forces pursuing them. As Ilara familiarized herself with the ship's controls, preparing for their journey, a warning klaxon suddenly blared. New data scrolled across the displays, showing a massive energy surge in nearby space. "They found us," Ilara breathed, her heart racing. "But how? We're millions of light years away and decades in the future." The aliens' response was grim. Their pursuers, it seemed, had technology that allowed them to track quantum signatures across both space and time. Their jump had bought them some time, but it hadn't thrown them off the trail completely. Ilara's hands flew over the controls, plotting a course away from the energy surge. "We need to move now. Can we make another jump?" The ship's systems flashed a negative response. The quantum drive was still recharging after their last desperate leap. They would have to rely on conventional propulsion, advanced as it was, to evade their pursuers. As they accelerated away from their previous position, Ilara's mind raced. They needed a plan, something more than just running and hiding. She turned to her alien companion, an idea forming. "You said this ship has capabilities beyond anything I've seen," she said. "What about its defensive systems? Weapons?" The alien's response was hesitant. The ship was primarily designed for exploration and scientific research, not combat. But it did have some defensive capabilities. A shield system that could deflect most forms of energy weapons, and a limited array of non-lethal countermeasures. "It'll have to do," Ilara muttered, studying the tactical displays. Several ships had emerged from the energy distortion, their designs as alien and advanced as her own vessel. They were spreading out, clearly intending to box them in. Ilara took a deep breath, centering herself. She might not remember her past life among these advanced beings, but something deep within her resonated with the ship's systems. It was time to see what she was truly capable of. "All right," she said, both to her companion and to herself. "Let's show them what this ship can do." With that, Ilara sent the ship into a series of maneuvers that would have been impossible in any human-designed craft. They dove through the corona of a nearby star, using its electromagnetic interference to briefly mask their signature. They skimmed the surface of a gas giant, riding its powerful atmospheric currents to gain a burst of speed. All the while, their pursuers stayed doggedly on their tail. Energy beams lanced out, most dissipating harmlessly against the ship's shields. But with each impact, Ilara could feel the strain on the systems increasing. "We can't keep this up forever," she said through gritted teeth, narrowly avoiding a barrage of plasma torpedoes. "We need to find a way to lose them for good." As if in response to her words, the ship's sensors picked up an anomaly ahead. A massive cloud of dark matter, its gravitational effects warping the very fabric of space around it. Most pilots would give such a phenomenon a wide berth, but Ilara saw an opportunity. "Hold on," she warned her companion, though the precaution was largely unnecessary. The alien was as much a part of the ship as she was, their minds working in perfect synchronization. Ilara plunged the ship directly into the dark matter cloud. Alarms blared as the intense gravitational forces threatened to tear the vessel apart. But Ilara trusted in the ship's capabilities and in her own instincts. Using the dark matter's gravitational eddies, Ilara performed a slingshot maneuver that sent them hurtling through space at speeds that defied conventional physics. Behind them, their pursuers struggled to navigate the treacherous region, several of their ships falling victim to the intense forces. As they emerged on the other side of the cloud, Ilara allowed herself a moment of triumph. They had gained a significant lead, and the remaining pursuit vessels were far behind, their energy signatures fading. But their victory was short-lived. As Ilara began plotting a course to their mysterious coordinates, a new alert sounded. A massive ship, dwarfing even the pursuers they had just evaded, had appeared directly in their path. "No," Ilara whispered, her voice filled with dread. "How is that possible?" The alien's response was a mixture of fear and resignation. This was no ordinary vessel. It was a Titan-class warship, capable of manipulating space-time itself to intercept its targets. It was the flagship of whoever was leading the hunt for them. As the Titan's massive form filled their view screen, Ilara felt a presence brush against her mind. It was cold, alien, and terrifyingly familiar all at once. A voice, more felt than heard, echoed in her thoughts. "Did you really think you could escape us, little one? It's time to come home." Ilara recoiled from the mental contact, her hand shaking as she gripped the ship's controls. "Who are you?" she demanded. "What do you want with us?" The response came not in words, but in a series of vivid images. Ilara saw a vast empire spanning galaxies, a civilization so advanced it had transcended the boundaries of physical form. She saw herself, or rather, the being she had once been, as a key figure in some grand experiment. And she saw the consequences of that experiment. Entire worlds torn apart, the very fabric of reality threatening to unravel. "No," Ilara gasped, tears streaming down her face as the weight of these revelations crashed over her. I can't be responsible for that." Her alien companion pressed close, offering comfort and sharing in her distress. Through their bond, Ilara understood that they had both been part of something much larger and much more dangerous than they had realized. The Titan's massive hangar bay began to open, a tractor beam blocking onto their ship. Ilara frantically searched for a way out, but every escape route was blocked. It seemed their journey was about to come to an abrupt and unwelcome end. But just as despair threatened to overwhelm her, Ilara felt a surge of defiance. She might not remember her past, might not fully understand the forces at work, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She and her companion were in this together, and she wasn't about to let anyone tear them apart again. With renewed determination, Ilara's hands danced over the ship's controls. If they couldn't escape, then they would have to find another way. She began rerouting power, pushing the ship's systems in ways they were never designed for. "What are you doing?" the alien voice in her mind demanded, a note of uncertainty creeping into its previously confident tone. Ilara's response was grim satisfaction, something incredibly stupid and potentially brilliant. She activated the quantum drive, not to jump away, but to create a localized distortion in the space immediately around their ship. The effect was instantaneous and catastrophic. The tractor beam holding them flickered and died as reality itself seemed to warp around them. Warnings blared throughout the ship as the quantum drive threatened to overload. But Ilara pushed on, guided by an instinct she didn't fully understand. She could feel her alien companion lending its strength, their combined will forcing the ship to perform the impossible. With a silent flash of light, a rift opened in space before them, not a controlled jump point, but a jagged tear in the very fabric of reality. Without hesitation, Ilara plunged their ship into the rift. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, they were everywhere and nowhere at once. Ilara caught glimpses of other times, other realities, countless possible futures and pasts flashing by in an instant. Then, with a lurch that seemed to reverberate through her very atoms, they emerged. The rift closed behind them, leaving them adrift in an unfamiliar starscape. The Titan and its fleet were nowhere to be seen. As the ship's systems slowly stabilized, Ilara sagged in her seat, physically and mentally exhausted. Her alien companion curled up beside her, equally drained by their ordeal. "We did it," Ilara murmured, her voice filled with equal parts relief and disbelief. "But where are we?" The ship's sensors struggled to make sense of their surroundings. They were in a region of space unlike anything in its database, a place where the normal laws of physics seemed to operate differently. Through their mental link, Ilara felt her companion's mixture of awe and trepidation. They had escaped their pursuers, yes, but in doing so, They had ventured into completely uncharted territory. Whatever challenges they had faced before paled in comparison to the unknown that now lay before them. As the full impact of their situation sank in, Ilara found herself laughing, a slightly hysterical sound born of stress, exhaustion, and the sheer absurdity of it all. Her alien sibling regarded her curiously, not fully understanding the reaction but sharing in the release of tension. "Well," Ilara said, wiping tears of laughter from her eyes, "I guess we're really in it now, aren't we? No going back." The alien chirped in agreement, projecting a sense of determination tinged with excitement. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. As their ship drifted through this strange new realm, its systems slowly recovering from the strain of their desperate escape, Ilara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She had left behind everything she thought she knew, plunged into a mystery that spanned galaxies and defied the very nature of reality itself. But for the first time since this wild journey began, she felt a sense of true purpose. Whatever she had been in her forgotten past, whatever role she had played in the events that now threatened multiple realities, she had a chance to make it right. With her alien sibling by her side and a ship capable of miracles at her command, Ilara set her sights on the challenges ahead. They had escaped the immediate danger, but she knew their journey was far from over. Somewhere out there lay answers to the questions burning in her mind, and perhaps a way to prevent the catastrophe they had glimpsed in the Titan's visions. As if sensing her thoughts, the ship's systems came fully online, displays flickering to life with data about their new surroundings. Ilara leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fatigue. It was time to explore, to learn, and to prepare for whatever the universe, or universes, might throw at them next. With a shared feeling of determination, Ilara and her alien companion began to chart a course through this strange new frontier, ready to face whatever wonders and dangers awaited them in the vast unknown. Allies and revelations. The alien realm they had stumbled into defied conventional understanding. Stars pulsed with colors Ilara had never seen before, and celestial bodies moved in patterns that seemed to ignore the laws of gravity. Time itself felt fluid, with moments stretching and compressing unpredictably. As they drifted through this surreal landscape, Ilara and her alien companion, whom she had taken to calling Nova for its shimmering, star-like fur, worked tirelessly to understand their new environment. The ship's sensors, advanced as they were, struggled to make sense of the data they were receiving. "It's like we're seeing the universe from a completely different perspective," Ilara mused, studying the holographic displays. "As if we've stepped outside the normal flow of space-time." Nova chirped in agreement, its mental presence a comforting constant in this sea of strangeness. Through their strengthening bond, Ilara felt fragments of memory stirring, not quite her own, but not entirely alien either. She saw glimpses of a civilization that had mastered the art of navigating realities, of beings that existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions. Is this where you're from?" Ilara asked, gesturing at the bizarre vista before them. Nova's response was complex, a mixture of affirmation and negation. This realm was familiar, yes, but not quite home. It was more like a crossroads, a place where different realities intersected. As they conversed, a new alert sounded from the ship's systems. Something was approaching. Fast. Ilara's hands flew to the controls, ready to initiate evasive maneuvers. But Nova projected a sense of calm, urging her to wait. A sleek vessel materialized beside them, its design unlike anything Ilara had ever seen. It seemed to shift and flow, as if it wasn't fully committed to a single form. A beam of light engulfed their ship, but instead of the expected tractor beam, Ilara felt a gentle psychic probe. "Greetings, travelers," a melodious voice echoed in their minds. "We've been expecting you." Ilara exchanged a confused glance with Nova. "Expecting us? How? Who are you?" The response came not in words, but in a series of vivid mental impressions. Ilara saw beings of pure energy, custodians of the space between realities. She understood that they called themselves the Nexus, guardians of the cosmic balance. Your arrival has caused quite a stir, the voice continued. It's not often that one such as yourselves manage to pierce the veil between worlds. Ilara felt a surge of hope. Then you know who we are, where we came from. There was a pause, tinged with what felt like sympathy. We know of you, yes, but the answers you seek are not ours to give. Come, join us on our vessel. There is much to discuss. Before Ilara could respond, she felt a strange sensation, as if her very atoms were being gently disassembled and reassembled. In the blink of an eye, she and Nova found themselves in a vast chamber that seemed to defy spatial logic. Surfaces shimmered and shifted, and distant areas of the room appeared closer than they should be. Three beings stood before them, their forms a constantly shifting amalgamation of light and energy. Ilara felt Nova press close, sharing in her awe and trepidation. "Welcome," one of the beings said, its voice resonating directly in Ilara's mind. "I am Zyfix, and these are my colleagues, Aeon and Lumina. We are the current triad of the Nexus." Ilara straightened, trying to project a confidence she didn't entirely feel. "I'm Dr. Ilara Vance, and this is, well, I've been calling them Nova. We've come a long way seeking answers." Zyfix's form shimmered in what Ilara interpreted as amusement. "Indeed you have, though I suspect you don't fully understand just how far. The journey you've embarked upon spans not just space and time, but the very nature of reality itself." Aeon, whose form seemed to pulse with the rhythm of cosmic cycles, stepped forward. "You stand at a nexus point, a convergence of multiple timelines and realities. The choices you make here will have far-reaching consequences. But we didn't choose to come here," Ilara protested. "We were just trying to escape those who were pursuing us." Lumina, whose light seemed to contain the spectrum of 1,000 suns, spoke next. "Ah, but choices are not always made consciously, Dr. Vance. Every action, every decision, ripples across the multiverse. Your escape was no accident. It was the culmination of countless factors, guided by a purpose greater than you yet understand." Ilara's head spun with the implications. She turned to Nova, seeking reassurance, and felt a wave of comfort through their bond. Whatever they were facing, they would face it together. "You mentioned consequences," Ilara said, turning back to the Triad. "What kind of consequences? And what does it have to do with our pursuers?" The three beings exchanged a look that seemed to contain volumes of unspoken communication. Finally, Zyfix spoke. "To understand that, you must first understand yourselves. Ilara, the being you call Nova is indeed your sibling, not by blood, but by a bond far deeper. You were both part of an experiment conducted by a faction of interdimensional beings known as the Architects." Images flashed through Ilara's mind. Vast cosmic laboratories, beings of unimaginable power shaping the very stuff of reality. Aeon continued. "The Architects sought to create beings capable of navigating and manipulating the multiverse at will. You and Nova were among their most promising creations, but the experiment had unforeseen consequences." Lumina's light dimmed slightly as she spoke. "Your abilities began to destabilize the boundaries between realities. Entire universes were at risk of collapse. In their desperation to contain the threat, the Architects scattered their creations across time and space, suppressing their memories and powers." Ilara felt as if the floor had dropped out from beneath her. "So everything I remember, my life on Earth, my career, it was all a lie." "Not a lie," Zyfix said gently. "A safeguard. A chance for you to live and grow without the burden of your true nature. But now circumstances have forced you to confront your origins." Nova chirped softly, and Ilara felt a surge of shared emotion through their bond. Confusion, fear, but also a growing sense of purpose. "The pursuit you faced," Aeon explained, "was led by a faction of Architects who believe the only way to prevent cosmic catastrophe is to recapture and neutralize all of their former creations, but there are others who believe you may hold the key to stabilizing the multiverse. Ilara's mind reeled with the revelations. So what are we supposed to do? How can we possibly face beings with that kind of power? Lumina's form brightened encouragingly. You are more powerful than you know, Ilara. Both of you are. Your escape to this realm has already begun to awaken your dormant abilities. With guidance and training, you may yet find a way to address the crisis that threatens all realities. Training? Ilara asked, a hint of her old scientific curiosity creeping into her voice. What kind of training? Zyfex's form rippled with what might have been a smile. We cannot interfere directly in the affairs of other realities, but we can offer you sanctuary here and the opportunity to explore the full extent of your capabilities. Aeon nodded, or at least gave the impression of nodding. Time flows differently in this realm. You could spend years here learning and growing, while only moments pass in your home reality. And what about those pursuing us? Ilara asked. Won't they eventually find a way here? Luminous light pulsed reassuringly. This realm exists outside normal spacetime. It cannot be reached by conventional means. You will be safe here for as long as you choose to stay. Ilara turned to Nova, their eyes meeting in silent communication. Through their bond, she felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension, mirroring her own emotions. This was a chance to uncover the truth about themselves, to potentially save countless realities from destruction. But it also meant accepting a destiny far beyond anything they had imagined. After a moment of silent deliberation, Ilara faced the Triad. We accept your offer. We'll stay and train. Zyfex's form brightened. Excellent. Be warned, the path ahead will not be easy. You will face challenges that will test you physically, mentally, and spiritually. But if you persevere, you may yet change the fate of the multiverse. As if on cue, the chamber around them began to shift and change. New areas unfolded like cosmic origami, revealing training grounds that defied Ilara's understanding of physics. Your education begins now, Aeon intoned. Embrace your true nature and discover the power that lies within you both. With a mixture of trepidation and determination, Ilara and Nova stepped forward into their new life. As they moved deeper into the strange, shifting landscape of the Nexus realm, Ilara felt a sense of homecoming she couldn't quite explain. Whatever trials lay ahead, whatever secrets they might uncover about themselves and the nature of reality, they would face it together. The next phase of their journey had begun, and with it, the fate of countless realities hung in the balance. As Ilara and Nova delved into their training, neither of them could have predicted the astounding transformations and challenges that awaited them. Days blended into weeks, then months, as Ilara and Nova immersed themselves in their education. They learned to manipulate the very fabric of space-time, to perceive and navigate multiple realities simultaneously. Their bond grew stronger, allowing them to communicate and coordinate with a level of synchronicity that bordered on the miraculous. Ilara discovered that her analytical mind, honed by years of scientific study, gave her a unique perspective on the nature of the multiverse. She began to see patterns in the cosmic tapestry, understanding how small changes could ripple out to affect entire realities. Nova, with its innate connection to the more mystical aspects of their shared heritage, excelled in sensing and manipulating the energies that flowed between dimensions. Together, they formed a formidable team, each complementing the other's strengths. But their training wasn't without its challenges. As their powers grew, so did the strain on their minds and bodies. There were days when Ilara felt as if she was being torn apart at the atomic level, her consciousness stretched across multiple realities. Nova struggled with sensory overload, sometimes overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information flowing through the cosmos. Through it all, the Triad guided them with patience and wisdom. Zyfix taught them the art of cosmic navigation, showing them how to chart courses through the treacherous waters of interdimensional space. Aeon instructed them in the delicate balance of cause and effect, helping them understand the far-reaching consequences of their actions across time and space. Lumina trained them in energy manipulation, teaching them to harness the raw power of creation itself. As their abilities expanded, so did their understanding of the crisis they faced. They learned of other beings like themselves, scattered across the multiverse, each holding a piece of the puzzle that could either save or doom all of reality. They saw visions of worlds torn apart by dimensional instability, of entire universes collapsing in on themselves. But they also glimpsed hope, the possibility of a solution that could heal the cosmic wounds and bring balance to the multiverse. It would require them to gather their fellow creations, to unite their powers in ways the architects had never intended. As their training neared its completion, Ilara and Nova stood before the Triad one final time. Gone was the uncertainty and fear that had marked their arrival. In its place was a quiet confidence, a determination born of hard-won knowledge and experience. "You have come far," Sci-Fi said, his form shimmering with pride. "But your greatest challenges still lie ahead." Aeon nodded solemnly. "The fate of the multiverse hangs in the balance. The choices you make from here on will shape the destiny of countless realities." Lumina's light pulsed warmly. "Remember all that you have learned here. Trust in yourselves and in each other. The power to change everything lies within you." Ilara and Nova exchanged a glance, their bond humming with shared purpose. They had entered this realm as fugitives, confused and afraid. They would leave it as guardians of reality itself, ready to face whatever the cosmos might throw at them. As a portal opened before them, showing the swirling chaos of the multiverse beyond, Ilara felt a surge of excitement and anticipation. Their true journey was only just beginning. "Ready?" she asked Nova, though she already knew the answer. Nova chirped affirmatively, its fur shimmering with barely contained energy. Together, they stepped through the portal, leaving the safety of the Nexus realm behind. The multiverse awaited, with all its dangers and wonders. And somewhere out there, their destiny and the fate of all reality hung in the balance. As the portal closed behind them, Ilara and Nova set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their quest to save the multiverse had truly begun. The final stand. The multiverse unfolded before Ilara and Nova like an infinite tapestry of possibility. Countless realities stretched in every direction, each a unique thread in the cosmic weave. Armed with their newfound abilities and knowledge, the pair began their quest to gather their scattered brethren and confront the looming crisis that threatened all of existence. Their journey took them across realities both wondrous and terrifying. They witnessed the birth and death of universes, navigated through dimensions where the laws of physics were mere suggestions, and encountered civilizations so advanced they made humanity's greatest achievements seem primitive by comparison. But with each step of their journey, they also saw the growing instability, cracks in the fabric of reality, bleeding one universe into another. Entire galaxies winking out of existence as the boundaries between dimensions weakened. The crisis was accelerating, and time, however relative it might be in the grand scheme of things, was running out. Through it all, Ilara and Nova's bond continued to deepen. They moved as one, their minds and abilities so in sync that they often didn't need words to communicate. Ilara's analytical approach combined with Nova's intuitive grasp of cosmic energies made them a formidable team, capable of overcoming obstacles that would have been insurmountable to either of them alone. As they traveled, they began to find others like themselves, beings created by the architects, each with unique abilities and insights. There was Zora, a shapeshifter who could adapt to any environment. Nexus, a living quantum computer capable of processing infinite probabilities, and Kronos, a time manipulator who existed simultaneously across multiple points in history. With each new ally, their understanding of the crisis and their own nature grew. They learned that they were more than just experiments. They were keys to unlocking the fundamental forces of the multiverse itself. The architects, in their hubris, had created beings capable of rewriting the very rules of reality. But gathering their scattered siblings was only half the battle. The faction of architects determined to correct their mistake grew ever more desperate as Ilara and her team's power increased. Entire realities became battlegrounds as the architects deployed cosmic-level weapons in their attempts to capture or neutralize their former creations. It was during one such confrontation, in a reality where time flowed backwards and cause followed effect, that Ilara finally came face to face with the leader of the hostile architects. The being called itself Omega, a name that sent shivers through the very fabric of space-time. You cannot hope to control the forces you're dealing with. Omega's voice boomed across dimensions. Your very existence threatens the stability of all reality. Surrender now, and we can end this without further destruction. Ilara stood firm, Nova by her side, and their allies arrayed behind them. She could feel the raw power coursing through her, the ability to reshape reality at will. But she also felt the weight of responsibility that came with it. We didn't ask for this power, Ilara replied, her voice carrying the authority of one who had seen the birth and death of universes. But now that we have it, we intend to use it to fix the damage that's been done. Damage that your actions have only made worse. Omega's form, a swirling mass of cosmic energy, pulsed with anger. You understand nothing. The multiverse exists in a delicate balance. Your meddling will only hasten its destruction. Or perhaps, Ilara countered, it's your fear of change that's the real threat. The multiverse is not static, Omega. It evolves, adapts. We are part of that evolution. With a roar that shook the foundations of reality, Omega launched its attack. Reality itself seemed to warp and tear as the being brought its full power to bear against Ilara and her allies. But they were ready. Drawing upon everything they had learned, Ilara and Nova synchronized their abilities, creating a shield that spanned dimensions. Their allies joined in, each contributing their unique powers to the defense. The battle that followed defied description in any single language or frame of reference. It was fought across time and space, in dimensions beyond human comprehension. Entire universes were born and died in the span of moments as the two sides clashed. Ilara found herself pushing her abilities to their absolute limit, drawing upon reserves of power she never knew she possessed. Through her bond with Nova, she could feel the strain on both of them, but also an unshakable determination. As the conflict reached its peak, Ilara had a moment of crystal clarity. She saw the multiverse not as a fragile thing to be protected, nor as a resource to be controlled, but as a living, evolving entity. And in that moment, she understood what needed to be done. Everyone. She called out to her allies, her voice carrying across the dimensional battlefield. Focus your energies on me and Nova. We need to synchronize on a level we've never attempted before. Her companions, trusting in her vision, did as she asked. Ilara felt their powers flowing into her and Nova, a confluence of cosmic energies unlike anything the multiverse had ever seen. With a shared thought, Ilara and Nova reached out, not to attack Omega, but to connect with it, to show it what they had seen, what they had learned in their journey across realities. The contact was explosive. Omega's consciousness, vast and ancient, crashed against theirs like a tidal wave of pure information. For a moment that stretched into eternity, Ilara felt as if she was everywhere and everyone at once, experiencing the entire history and future of the multiverse simultaneously. And in that infinite moment, understanding bloomed. Ilara saw the fear that drove Omega and the other architects. Fear of the unknown, of losing control over the reality they had shepherded for eons. But she also saw the potential for growth, for a new cosmic order that could heal the rifts in reality and usher in a new era of multiversal harmony. With an effort of will that strained every fiber of her being, Ilara channeled this understanding back through her connection with Omega. She showed the ancient being a vision of a multiverse where the architects and their creations worked in concert, maintaining the cosmic balance while allowing for growth and change. For a heart-stopping moment, the outcome hung in the balance. Then, slowly, Ilara felt the resistance in Omega's consciousness begin to crumble. The attack ceased, the dimensional storms calmed, and a new sense of possibility filled the air. As the connection faded and Ilara found herself back in her own body, or at least the closest approximation of a body one could have in this reality. She saw Omega's form had changed. The chaotic swirl of energy had coalesced into a more defined shape, one that radiated not hostility, but cautious hope. We have been short-sighted. Omega's voice resonated, softer now, but no less powerful. In our desire to maintain the old order, we nearly destroyed everything we sought to protect. Ilara, supported by Nova and her other allies, stepped forward. "It's not too late," she said. "Together, we can repair the damage and create something greater than either of us could have imagined alone." Omega seemed to consider this for a moment before responding. "It will not be easy. The rifts in reality run deep, and many of my kind will resist this change." "Nothing worth doing is ever easy," Ilara replied with a smile. "But I think you'll find we're up for the challenge." And so began a new chapter in the history of the multiverse. Ilara, Nova, and their allies worked alongside the reformed architects to heal the cosmic wounds and establish a new balance. It was a monumental task, one that would take eons to complete, but for beings who could step outside of time itself, that was hardly an obstacle. They traveled from universe to universe, sealing rifts, stabilizing realities on the brink of collapse, and teaching the inhabitants of various dimensions how to maintain the cosmic balance in their own realms. Along the way, they continued to grow and evolve, their powers and understanding expanding in ways even the architects had never dreamed possible. There were still challenges, of course. Rogue architects who refused to accept the new order, cosmic entities that saw their work as a threat, and the ever-present danger of unintended consequences. But with each obstacle they overcame, the team grew stronger and more unified. As for Ilara and Nova, their bond continued to deepen. They were more than siblings now, more than partners. They had become the singular entity in two forms, their minds and powers so intertwined that the distinction between them was often blurry. Years passed, or perhaps it was millennia, for time had little meaning when one could traverse it at will. Ilara found moments to reflect on the incredible journey that had led her to this point. She thought of the life she had left behind on Earth, of the person she had been before discovering her true nature. Sometimes she wondered if that life had been real at all, or merely a vivid dream. But then she would look at Nova, at the family of cosmic beings they had gathered around them, at the countless realities they had saved and nurtured, and she knew that this grand, impossible adventure was her true calling. One day, or perhaps it was an era, as they stood on the edge of a newly born universe, watching galaxies coalesce from the primordial cosmic soup, Nova turned to Ilara with a familiar gleam in its multifaceted eyes. "What do you think?" Nova asked, its mental voice tinged with excitement. "Should we see what's beyond the edge of the multiverse?" Ilara laughed, a sound that sent ripples of joy cascading through nearby dimensions. "Always looking for the next horizon, aren't you?" Nova's fur shimmered with amusement. "We've come this far. Why stop now?" Ilara considered for a moment. They had responsibilities, of course. The work of maintaining the cosmic balance was never truly finished. But they had also built a network of allies and successors who could handle things in their absence. "You know what?" Ilara said, feeling a familiar thrill of anticipation. "Why not? Let's see what's out there." With a shared thought, they reached out to their team, letting them know of their plans. There were well wishes and promises to keep things running smoothly in their absence. Then, with a final look at the multiverse they had helped to save and reshape, Ilara and Nova joined hands, or the closest approximation, given their often fluid forms. Together, they took a step beyond the boundaries of known reality, into whatever wonders or challenges awaited them in the great unknown. As they ventured into the uncharted expanses beyond the multiverse, Ilara felt a sense of joy and purpose that transcended anything she had ever known. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that with Nova by her side, and the bonds they had forged across realities, they were ready for anything. Their greatest adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. And so, as Ilara and Nova disappeared into the cosmic unknown, the multiverse they left behind pulsed with new life and possibility. The story of the human nerd who saved an alien cat only to discover a destiny beyond imagination became legend across countless realities. It was a tale of hope, of the power of connection, and of the infinite potential that lies within us all when we dare to reach for the stars and beyond. In the endless expanse of existence, their journey continued, a testament to the enduring power of curiosity, courage, and the unbreakable bond of true companionship.